Hey everyone, Naman speaking. With the announcement of Persona 4 Revival, the biggest question on everyone's mind was, why is Yuri Lowenthal not voicing Yosuke? But the second biggest question was whether or not the Persona 4 Golden content would be included in the base game. Of course, now we know the answer to one of these questions, but this got me thinking about Persona 3 Reload and DLC in the series as a whole. For those unaware, Persona 3 is divided in two parts, the main story, called The Journey, and a shorter epilogue, called The Answer. When Atlus announced that they were remaking Persona 3, they explicitly said that they would only be remaking the original first release of the game, so only The Journey would be remade. This disappointed all 7 fans of The Answer, but was a mostly understandable decision due to time constraints. Which made it all the funnier when they dropped The Answer as paid DLC just a few months later. Yeah, so people weren't happy with that decision, but the reason I'm bringing this up is because this is not the first time they pulled a stunt like that. Persona has always had a weird and wacky relationship with DLC that would make even fighting games flush, so I figured, hey, why not revisit some of that DLC while I come up with another excuse to talk about Danganronpa again. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. We're gonna be going through all the DLC the Persona games have received and rating them in the scientific scale of good or goof. Yes, I stole this from Pontiac, go watch him, he's funnier than I am. As for what I'm gonna be considering DLC, anything that was not included in the base game or the first release is fair game, so long as it wasn't added in a free update. So we're counting the extra content added in things like Persona 5 Royal and things like that. But before we get to that, disclaimers. This video contains major spoilers for Persona 3 and minor spoilers for Persona 5, so if you don't wanna watch that, you have been warned. With all that out of the way, let's get into it. Well, we already opened the can of worms, so we might as well start with episode Aigis. See, the thing about episode Aigis is that the answer in Persona 3 Fest wasn't very good to begin with. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad, but The Journey is one of the best written games of all time, and the answer is on about the same level of writing as the 2013 movie Freebirds. Yes, we are going back in time to the first Judgment Day to get Yuki off the menu. But this alone wasn't what pissed off most Persona fans, no. Persona DLC is usually really cheap, going for around $5 to $10. So, how much would a short 15 to 20 hour epilogue cost? Try $35. That's quite literally half the price of the game itself! You could buy Persona 4 Golden and 3 Portable, and that would only just barely be more expensive than this. You could buy Hollow Knight 3 times for that kind of money. As for me though, I got it included in Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, so I didn't have to pay for it. And I still feel ripped off. But that's enough economics. Surely if the DLC is good, the price could be justified, right? Right. Upon starting episode Aigis, you're given the choice to use a beaten Persona 3 save file. This will be massively important later. You can start the answer without having finished the journey, but the millisecond you hit that change episode button, you will be bombarded with spoilers, so you really shouldn't do this unless you watch the game on YouTube beforehand or something like that. After being presented with the most banger intro song in a Persona game, we can finally begin playing this bad boy. Except the first hour or so is extremely railroady with horrible pacing and you have no idea what is going on half the time. So in that sense, it's exactly like the journey. But after that is done, we're finally set free in the world of the answer. Holy shit, it's just like Metroid Prime 4! There are a whopping total of 3 locations you can explore. There's the Desert of Doors, our local Tartarus equivalent, good old Polonium Mall, and the Iwatule Dorm. We do not talk about the hole in the floor. With so few locations, you might be wondering how they're gonna fit the 21 social links here. Fortunately, Atlus thought ahead and removed them from the game. This was also an issue in the original answer. They literally cut out half of the game, arguably the most important one. But yeah, episode Aigis does try to fix this by using the personal trait system, where throughout the Desert of Doors you will find little souvenirs you can give to your party members to unlock a conversation and give them back their personal traits. This would also be a good time to mention that this DLC isn't a super difficult endgame challenge like you could expect, but rather everyone is reset to level 20 and loses all their unlockables with the sole exception of the rebuild personas. This of course includes you, the player. If you have a keen eye, you might have noticed that in episode Aigis, you play as Aigis. This is for a couple of reasons, but the main one is that Yuki fucking died. What this means for you is that you lose all of the personas you fused in the journey and need to fuse them again, with one major caveat. There is no Arcana Burst. The Velvet Room and not the Shuffle Time thing. Since there are no social links, if you wanted a persona's level up skills, you are gonna need to level that sucker up manually. As a result, whenever you fuse a new persona, it will almost always be weaker than when you used to create it. This might genuinely be the most frustrating thing about this DLC for me. I'm not exaggerating when I say that Akihiko was damage mugging me for most of my playthrough, and it makes you completely reliant on shuffle time to get any kind of progression. There is one workaround though. If you choose to use a Beaten Journey save file, you can summon any of Yuki's personas for a hefty sum of money. But since you're grinding Tartarus with effectively unlimited SP, money is no object to you. Side note, you can't do this in the hardest difficult, so if you're thinking of beating this on hardless, you have been warned. We should also probably mention the entire selling point of episode Aigis. Meet Metis, the most unpopular Persona party member, bar none. The honest to god dog is more popular than this girl. I still like her emo ass though. As far as gameplay is concerned, she's a pretty fun party member, but nothing special. She only has skills that were already in the base game, but she's the only party member to learn the charge skill. If only because. Aside from that, there's not much more to the main story of this DLC, it really is just climbing Tartarus all over again until you get to the end of the story. You do get some flashbacks of the party members' paths here and there, but it's nothing we didn't already know, it's just nice to finally see it. Also, Kid Mitsuru and Akihiko are super cute, I love them so much. When you do get to the end though, you have one last thing you can do before beating the final boss. And that is getting your ass beaten. For whatever reason, you can fight Joker Persona 5 in the episode Aigis, and you can tell that he is Atlus's special little boy because holy shit is he overpowered. Much like Elizabeth's fight in the base game, this fight is complete and utter bullshit, and he has a bunch of unwritten rules you'll need to fuck around to find out. Some of these can get extremely specific, so much so that Ken can genuinely only click like 3 skills at most during this fight. This might be the hardest fight in a Persona game to this day, but I'm still holding my breath for the Margaret 5 in the Persona 4 remake. If you like this type of challenge like me, this boss alone might genuinely make the DLC worth it for you. Well, maybe not $35 worth it, but you should wait until this goes on sale anyway. As for the actual final boss, look man, I don't know, my level 99 Akihiko and Yukari just kinda devoured his health bar in 4 turns, I'm not sure what to say. So when all is said and done, is the answer worth it? Hell no! It's not as bad as early reviews made it out to be, it definitely has its good parts like the Yuki boss fight and the arena fights, but the price is what kills it for me. Again, you can buy Persona 4 Golden instead of this. You should only buy episode Aigis if you desperately want more Persona 3 injected into your veins, which, fair, or if it's on sale at a good discount. So drum rolls, please! Goof. Now that we have gone through episode Aigis, we can talk about the actual important DLC, the costume sets. Look, it seems like a joke, but at least for me I can't remember a playthrough of Persona games where I don't use costumes. Yes, shut up, I know Persona 3 doesn't have it. The point is, I think costumes are one of the coolest ideas in the modern Persona games, and I'm always glad to see more of them. As for Reload, there are only 3 packs of DLC costumes and they're based off of past Persona games. This was to be expected, it's tradition at this point, but the weird thing is that they didn't include any extra costumes based on other things like Shin Megami Tensei. Where are the Tokyo Mirage Sessions costumes, Atlus? Where are they? We're gonna be rating this one by one because I think it's more fun that way. Starting off with the Phantom Thief costume set, they absolutely knocked it out of the park with this one. It is one of the most beloved costume sets and is one of my favorites as well. They actually went and tailored the outfits to fit the Persona 3 cast, and they all came out looking amazing. You could even say it fits like a glove. That said, I do have a couple of nitpicks with the distribution of this costume. Firstly, Ken looks, shall we say, a tad bit off? And Mitsuru being Makoto instead of Sumire has to be the wildest decision they've made ever since the Ken Social Link incident. And I don't know man, Bold Ryuji just doesn't really do it for me. Still, those are all just minor nitpicks and don't detract from the quality of this DLC. I'm giving it a good. Naturally, we also had to get the Shujin uniforms as paid DLC, and I really like what they did with this. They still very much feel like the Persona 3 cast, but with a new coat of paint, and they even gave a uniform to Koromaru! Also, they took Shinji's hat off. Why is he low-key kinda hotter? I don't know why, but the uniforms just kinda fit them really naturally, though I think it would have been fun to keep the armbands in the design. I still like this costume set though, good. Following Shujin, we have the Yasogami costume set, and why does Akihiko look like Mob Psycho? Yeah, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, this is just a copy-paste of the Shujin costumes, sold separately. Which is fair enough, I guess, but almost no characters in Persona 4 wear the uniform like this. I can't help but think they could have used a lot more personality, especially when they didn't give them the glasses. That is the one thing these costumes needed to have. How could you mess that up? They're not bad, but they just kinda feel lazy. Goof. Finally, the Velvet Room costume set is included in the purchase of episode Aigis, but I prefer to think it's the other way around. In the purchase of the best costume setup in the game, you get a fun little side story as a small bonus. It's probably because I'm a sucker for anything and everything Velvet Room. I think it's the coolest part of Persona by far, and these costumes are my coping mechanism to the sorrow that Mary wasn't a playable party member in Persona 4 Golden. At last we're done talking about the costumes and we can get into the meat of these meat and potatoes. Behold, the Persona packs! After the disaster that were the Persona 5 DLC personas, there were a lot of expectations on how Persona 3 Reload would handle the DLC personas. So how did they do? Take a wild guess.
Don't worry, squad, I got this. Peep this Persona build.
Dude, I swear, if this is some of your bullshit again.
No, really, peep this one.
To be entirely fair, these are nerfed compared to the Persona 5 ones, but they're still ridiculously overpowered. While they don't instantly solve the game for you, they do allow you to Oonga Boonga your way out of any encounter you don't feel like doing. I don't feel like DLC personas are as offensive as some people say because 1, it's a single player game, who cares? And 2, you can just remove the overpowered skills if you don't want them. Use them as regular personas, no one is forcing you to click Mirror Truths. Also yes, it's personas, not personae, not persona. That's the official plural used in the games. If I get any comments about this, I will put you in my Tomodachi Life Island and feed you cigarettes until you pass out. But enough of that, we have 3 packs of DLC personas to raid, so let's get raiding! Let's start things off with our main culprit, the Persona 5 DLC 1. As that's all the party member personas from Persona 5, so you're getting a lot just in these bundles. What makes them unique though is their exclusive skill, the driver passive. These puppies increase your damage of their respective affinity by 75%. Now, if you've played Persona 5 Royal, you're probably thinking, oh cool, with this I can save a skill slot by not equipping both amp and boost and still reaching the damage multiplier cap. And yeah, if it worked like that, they'd be pretty cool skills. One problem though, there is no multiplier cap in Reload. I cannot, for the life of me, tell you why they did this, but the driver skills stack with the boost and amp skills, meaning that all of these personas are objectively the strongest for their respective element. Oh, and you can fuse them early game, too. Cool idea, massive goof. Following that, we have a bit of a theme here, there's more Persona 5! In case you haven't noticed, a good 3/4 of Persona 3 Reload DLC is just Persona 5, so sure, let's do this! This time we have the second tier personas from P5, and their signature skills are the highest tier magic attacks that hit all enemies, so stuff like Vacuum Wave or Ice Age. This sounds more broken than the driver skills, but it really isn't. Magic is so far behind physical attacks in Reload that usually there's not really a reason to click this, even more so when they cost half of your SP. You usually only need them to hit weaknesses, and for that job the single target skills from the base game work just fine. And since these don't have the driver skills, they're significantly weaker than their DLC 1 counterpart. No, seriously, I did the math, I'm gonna put it on the screen for anyone who actually cares. Aside from those, Satanael has the funniest skill and Loki has the funniest skill. So to summarize, this feels strong but not completely overpowered and they're locked behind reasonable level requirements. Not you, Loki. I think these are good. And finally, we have the Persona 4 pack, and there's only 3 of them. I know they did this because they didn't have updated models for the party member personas, but at the very least you could have tossed in Izanagi no Okami to soften the blow. It couldn't possibly be more broken than Sandrion. Goof. You know, sometimes when I think lowly of myself or I need a bright side to look at, I think to myself, well, at the very least, I could never be as bad as the Persona 3 Reload background music set. So first of all, it should go without saying that charging for background music is ridiculous when you could just turn off the in-game music and boot up Spotify. But if for some reason Atlus was coerced by a higher power to do this, why not do it like Persona 5, which included the music with a matching custom set? As for the music selection itself, it's fine, it's pretty much what you... Wait, where's the Persona 4 music? A bit about myself. There are 3 things in this world I hate. Blossom Block overheads, Mondo Owara, and fucking pre-order bonuses. If you didn't pre-order Persona 3 Reload, you just don't get to use these songs. That alone is enough to doom this DLC for me, but combined with the other weirdness of selling background music separately, this is the biggest goof so far. Alright, I think that is quite enough Persona 3 for now. How about some Persona 5 for the PlayStation 3? You see, this is where it all started, where Atlus began their age-old tradition of making completely unreasonable DLC personas. In the current year, it's pretty worthless to talk about this DLC pack since they all come included with Persona 5 Royal, so yes, Izanagi no Okami is not a privilege, it's a right. But well, it's not like you're going out of your way to buy them. Let me have this, for all time's sakes. Let's LARP one last time. Once again, same disclaimer applies. I don't think that these personas are bad for the game or that they shouldn't exist. In fact, I'm actually quite fond of these since Persona 5 Royal is already PCC as is, and Thanatos is my bro that comes in clutch whenever I don't feel like doing the Okamura Palace. Okay, so let's get rating those packs and oh, they're each purchased individually. I'm gonna have to rate every single DLC persona, am I not? Izanagi, pretty cool guy with a neat but balanced skill and a completely reasonable persona trait. Pair this guy with Ryuji for extremely funny results. That said, having access to Crosslash in the early game feels illegal and acts like a I don't feel like you existing button until you start getting into the mid game. I still love Izanagi though. Good. Orpheus. See, this one's cheating because they're literally two completely different motherfuckers. Regular Orpheus seems like a pretty underwhelming persona for the level you get him in. His personal skill is not that great and the affineries are downright horrendous. But it's nothing unworkable except whoops, his persona trait is an endure skill that works 4 times. And it's not even that good of a trait. Dying in Persona 5 is not common enough of an occurrence that you need 4 self-revives that, mind you, stack with the endure skill. It's not like you'll get much use out of it, but even then, just knowing that you have 4 turns of immortality on your back pocket removes any sense of actual danger from the game. But don't worry, that was just regular Orpheus. Kotone's take on the matter is even worse. Not only do you get this way earlier than the regular variant, he's also packing this little skill that is a body-wide hit riser and heal. And you can get this in the second palace. Yes, you could get similar results using Thermopylae with Vitality of the trait, but 1, that's an endgame setup, and 2, it takes up your trade slot. Well, instead you can just get Orpheus for the low price of the penny you found in the street and use the Kikitagawa's life savings. Goof. Also, why they felt like not including Orpheus Telos remains a mystery to me. Thanatos. This is my favorite persona in the series, so I'm biased as hell. His persona trait is nothing special, just giving you both barriers at the start of combat and a skill cost reduction on Baton Pass. Baton Pass already lets you click anything for free, why would you need this? His personal skill, on the other hand, is a bit more fun, essentially just being Megidolan with a chance to insta-kill for extra spice. It's nothing jaw-dropping, no pun intended, but I still use him just for how cool he looks alone. Yes, everyone is entitled to liking one edgy character design, leave me alone. Good. Kaguya. If you haven't yet had the pleasure of doing the Wakaba fight with this persona equipped, pause the video and go do that right now. I'm giving her a good for that reason alone. Other than that, Shining Arrows is technically the best light skill in the game, so if you feel like gambling, go ahead. Magatsu Izanagi. Everyone says they're an Adachi fan, but somehow I've never seen this guy used once. Some of y'all gotta be lying. Anyway, he's pretty okay, his whole thing is stacking elements and dealing massive damage, but it's rare for an enemy in Persona 5 to survive more than a turn after getting an ailment, so it usually ends up running some other build. Goof. Ariadne. They actually went and added Labrys' super from Persona 4 Arena, even with the gimmick of being completely useless if it doesn't kill. It's mostly not worth it since it doesn't deal that much damage compared to the strong physical skills, but it's still neat. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, this persona gives you infinite souls. We were so close to having a good one. Goof. Asterios. There are only 2 hard parts about using Asterios, not falling asleep and letting Joker fall below 100% health. But if you somehow manage to do both of these at the same time, you get to see MMO level damage numbers. I'm still giving him a good because at the very least his gimmick is original. Messiah. Hey, did you know that the Invigorate and Regeneration skills stack? No? Well, now you do! For being an endgame persona, Messiah doesn't really do anything special aside from being a souped up heal butt, which, frankly, that may even be a good thing. And it's also accurate because this guy does jack fucking shit in Persona 3. I always use him in my playthroughs though. I'm giving him a good. Tsukiyomi. Comes with one of the best darkness skills and literally no one cares because he's better as a physical attacker. His trait is extremely cool for Joker's solo runs, but I find it doesn't get much use outside of that. I still think it fits him quite well though. Good. Holy shit, Tsukuyomi mentioned Moon Princess Kaguya reference! Best movie in the world is not a Sona Maker reference! Athena is more of the same. She also has a trait that activates during one more, and is a crit-focused physical attacker. The only problem I've ever had with this persona is, why does her personal skill cost my entire life bar? Like, genuinely, casting this twice while fishing for crits will put you on life support, but I guess that's what the trait is for. I don't care though, I'm still replacing it with Will of the Sword and dealing with the consequences later. Good. Izanagi no Okami. Do I even need to say anything? Finally, Raul is technically a DLC persona, so it's kinda weird how most people forget that the protagonist also has a third semester persona, but yeah, he does. This is pretty much just Fancy Arsene, he even says so when you summon him, and though I wish you got him at some point in the story instead of having to fuse him yourself, I could say that about some other personas. Still, he's extremely cool to me, and I'm giving him a good for that reason alone. I love this guy so much, I don't care how broken Phantom Show is. And with that, we have covered every single DLC persona released to this day. But we still have a lot of ground to cover, and we're already 20 minutes into the video. Full disclosure, I didn't expect this topic to be this dense when first writing the video, and there is still a lot of stuff I would like to talk about. However, rather than taking 3 months to make an hour-long video, I have decided to release it now and make a part 2 if you guys liked it and would like to hear more about this topic. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and leaving a comment, and if you wanna see more content like this, you can subscribe to support the channel. With all that said, I'm Name, and thanks for watching.